Welcome, everyone. I'm Greg Schnell, the Canadian technician, here to host the Market Buzz. This show looks at weekly setups across the U.S. market. Using the tools available on StockCharts, we'll look for long time frame trades. Don't forget to subscribe to my articles and Twitter feed for more information throughout the week. So we have ourselves a Fed meeting today, and for some people that's no big deal. I know there was an early time in my career where I thought that was no big deal. Now I think it's a very big deal. We're going to cover off a little bit of the transports. I know I just covered them off 2 weeks ago, but what we were looking for is starting to show up. So that's why we're going to quickly hit the transports. We're going to jump in and look at the banks because Deutsche Bank and Commerce Bank announced some stuff over the weekend, but I want to show you what's going on with those. And then we're going to roll through the consumer discretionary sector. And there's some really interesting charts in there that are making 5-year base breakouts. So anyway, that is news to me and just something that I think we can spend a bit of time on today. So let's go do that. First of all, here's the current market status. So S&P 500 is in the middle here. And we've been going down since yesterday about 11 o'clock and just kind of holding on, waiting for the Fed meeting today. So we'll see how this progresses. You can see that the momentum on the MACD is waning. NASDAQ just kind of gently in an uptrend here. The Russell's already looking to have rolled over. It's making new 1-week lows or new 5-day lows. It would have to get down through this one to make maybe even this bottom here. Yeah, to take out the weekly bar from last week. TSX is just kind of gently sitting on this 20-day moving average or the 100-period moving average on the 60-minute chart. Natural gas right in here. Oil's trying to hold up. Gold down slightly. TLT, this is the really interesting one for today with the Fed meeting coming in here. And UUP, this downtrend, watching it closely to see what it wants to do. So basically, after breaking out to a new high, the US dollar has been sliding for 10 days. Okay, the reason I want to cover off the railways, so this is today with FedEx. Let's just get the current update. So FedEx is now down 10%. Ouch. These charts are pretty ugly. And I can't help but say, when we look at these charts and just quickly roll through them, they're doing exactly what we are worried about. So this is Union Pacific, and you can see that the scooter ranking is now the weakest it's been in a year and a half. And that literally is just starting to plummet here. And it had made a breakout here and is starting to roll over. And it's on this rollover that I'm getting concerned. This uptrend line in relative strength is at a very critical spot. So if this starts to break down, this is one of my key concerns, is that all of a sudden the railways start to underperform. And that would be my final signal that we're nearing a more major top. So Norfolk Southern here, we still have a little bit of space on this relative strength line, but you see the same thing here where the scooter is starting to break down. Again, testing a double top here, and we've got a lot lower momentum on the second one with no real volume showing up on the buyer side. Here's Expeditors. This is a trucking company for the most part, but what you see here is it's been trying to break through this level yet, and it hasn't. I would just say that the candle this week is a little weaker. So we had a breakout above the prior weeks, closed right on the breakout line, tried to go higher, failed, and now we're sitting down here a little bit lower. That's not particularly bearish, but it's definitely cautionary because it's just not going anywhere. This is marine transportation, and again, we were trying to get through the 40-week moving average here, and it looks like we're stalling. We've been there for 3 or 4 weeks. This clue right here is the big clue for us. We have zero momentum, absolutely right at zero, and if this was to roll over right at the zero line and drop, that's exactly what we don't want to see, and we saw this in late 2016 where this chart started to break down. Now, the issue, again, isn't one chart breaking down. It's if they all start to roll over. So what we see here is this is CSX Corp, and again, we're testing this double top here, but this is starting to roll over, and it's just the whole transportation group is starting to look more difficult. The Canadian Pacific, this one had made a higher high. It's now making a lower low. That's typically a reversal. And again, we were trying to get up through this resistance levels here, and that rolling over right near zero would be the problem for us on that chart. GATX, this one's making a series of lower highs, can't get through the 40-week, trying to find support at the 10-week. PPO momentum right at zero. Relative strength, we've definitely broken the uptrend here. The real question is, now we're on 6-month lows. If we start to break new 12-month lows, I think you're in for a bigger decline. Sorry, I said this was Canadian Pacific up here. Maybe it was CNI. Yeah, Canadian National. So anyway, let's go down to Canadian Pacific. What we see here is a series of lower highs, and this trend line here is very close to breaking. We've got a scooter ranking of 40, which is as low as we want to get. So let's just say that it always bounces at this level. It would be pretty important for it to start to bounce anytime now. And this arrow's been here since 2 or 3 weeks ago, and it looks like it's ready to fall down. Kansas City Southern. This chart was on Fast Money last night, and I found it quite interesting, the interpretation on this. You know, they talked about trying to make it through this prior high, but the interesting part is going back 5 years. This is also a high on the chart. And again, this is a total return chart, so we add in the yield. What we're looking for here is we're testing this prior high, and it looks to me like this is going to fail. And down here, you've got your momentum rolling over right at zero. United Parcel Service is having a bad week on the back of FedEx. So a lower high, a lower low, just not what we want to see when the market's in such a delicate spot. And then we look like we're rolling over on the momentum indicator. Okay, here's C.H. Robinson, a big trucking company, a lot of refrigerated freight. And again, breaking through a couple months ago. This chart's failing at the 40-week and rolling over, and very close to new 3-month lows, rolling over right at zero on momentum. These are all of the traits that we would expect to see as a market makes its final top. United Continental, we can clearly see that the relative strength is breaking down on this. Some people on Fast Money were talking about buying the airlines, and I couldn't help but think I would be taking the other side of that trade. This is a big uptrend that's been broken. Full stochastic turned over at 50. That's typically a very bearish sign. PPO going below zero after touching and failing. This has stories of lower lows to me. Landstar Systems, same thing, can't get through the 40-week, trying to hold up on the 10-week here and rolling over right at zero. Big downsloping trend line here. Nothing I like. Here's the Ryder Truck Rentals, and again, failed at the 40-week, rolling over. Kirby Corp, this is marine transportation. You see big downtrend here, a very important checkpoint here where it tries to break out. Delta Airlines having a down week so far. Last week, it briefly got above new 3-month highs, failed, and is starting to pull back. If we just go get a single chart, Delta Airlines. So it's this pattern here, and this is on so many charts where we have a high sitting in here, and we try and test them, we break out and we fail. We break out and we fail. Now you start to crack the uptrend, and it's this lower momentum on the second test that makes this more difficult. So again, just seeing it on almost everything. A lot of these charts have just got back up to the prior highs and are starting to fail. Here's Love, Southwest Airlines, and this chart's rolling over. There's about 10 737 MAX planes parked at the Sky Harbor Airport. They're all lined up nicely, but unfortunately they're not flying. So this chart is rolling over and rolled over right at zero and is now crossing your signal line below zero. That's usually very bearish. Here's JB Hunt. This thing's accelerating to the downside, rolling over below zero in momentum. JetBlue Airlines, this has been a downward trend for 18 months. Alaska Airline is breaking out to new lows, new 3-year lows or 2-year lows. Again, so the problem on all of these charts are that they're extremely weak, but they're rolling over at a very critical place. And here's American Airlines, and again, drilling in the bottom right-hand corner of the chart. Here's FedEx with its outside week so far, and again, trying to break through prior highs, failed. So last week was an inside week, now we have an outside week. That's pretty much a confirmation signal for me that this is going to roll over and go down. And we're trying to have a bit of a positive move here where it crossed its signal line, failing right here. I would draw a big long trend line in here, and until this trend line breaks on FedEx, I'd avoid the stock. So let's just go annotate that. We're going to draw this in here. So we might bump up against it and come down, or just gently come down and then start to turn up. Then I'd be more interested. I would stay away from this for now for sure. Okay, getting Schneider National, big orange trucks everywhere. This looks like it's rolling over right at below zero. So this is just a very bearish setup here. Not happy with any of it. Okay, that wraps up the railways. StockCharts has a very special time in its company history coming up here in the first part of April. And so we're just going to break, and we've got a little something to show you.
Join us April 1st to April 5th to celebrate our 20th anniversary here at StockCharts.com with special guests Arthur Hill, Greg Morris, Gaddis Rose, Martin Pring, and John Murphy. Tune in to Market Watchers Live at 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time during the week of April 1st to April 5th to help us celebrate.
Okay, we're back. We're going with the banks right now. What I want to talk about on the banking sector, the problem is we've got the Fed meeting today, and not that problem, it is the Fed meeting today, but the bigger issue is what are the financials doing as we come through this Fed meeting? And again, these charts are sorted that this was the strongest chart in the group. And you can see that we are gently making a rolling top here on this stock. And this is Intesa out of Italy. And here's Banco Santander. And again, tried to break out, pulled back 3 weeks ago, and is now struggling to get back through the 10-week. The relative strength uptrend has been broken, and so starting to weaken. Now, I have a whole list of long stocks. I don't want to go through them all today, so I'm going to shorten this up, and I've got an abbreviated list. So I can look quickly at this on the candle glance view, and then we'll go to one that's just got mostly U.S. stocks in it. But what we're watching for here on all of these, so this is trying to take out a double top. This one was in a downtrend. These still look okay. This one is SureBank, Cyberbank. I think that's Russian. Lloyd's is trying to hold up with all of the stuff going on in Brexit. MCO, Moody's is sitting right here trying to break through prior highs. Here's Franklin. This one tried to push up, you can see in here, and is starting to fail. In China Construction. Anyway, the point I want to make is a lot of these charts, I showed you the strongest ones first, but these are starting to roll down here. And if they're going to fail, like here's Fifth Third, this one had briefly broken out, now it's pulling all the way back. So it's charts like this that are problematic for us if they're not going to be able to hold these breakouts going back through the last 6 months. And this fails right here, PPO right at zero. This is classic topping action. And again, we've got a left shoulder ahead, a right shoulder. This is exactly the kind of chart setup that we'd be worried about. So I'm going to just go to my abbreviated list, and this one's only got like 20 stocks in it. I think I have that wrong. Oh, let me just check that. I made a mistake there. Somehow I moved off that list. I'm sorry. Let me just go quickly grab JP Morgan. So here's Fifth Third, the one we were talking about. And again, this looks like it wants to roll over. Here's JP Morgan. I don't know what I did with that chart list. Here's JP Morgan, and what we see on this is this downtrend, and we're right at zero. But look at the price action so far this week for JP Morgan. Broke out, is pulling back, and we're sitting right here on this breakout level. So really important stuff to see how the financials behave. Let's go on to a chart that looks a little more, we can see a little more detail. So this is a 2-month, 1-hour chart. Try that again. There we go. Okay, so you can see we were trying to break out, and now literally we're rolling over right as we get to this key level. And if we go to the daily chart, the problem is you can see this big topping structure here. We get back up to the 200-day, we get above it for, what, 1 or 2 days, and now it looks like we're starting to fail. So if we can't break through this major level here, I think this is a really big deal. So watching JP Morgan very close. Let's go to Bank of America. Same thing here. We tried to get through 29.50, briefly shot up. Now all of a sudden we're pulling back. It doesn't mean it's over, but it definitely highlights the fact that this breakout doesn't appear to be holding. And we had a little bit of volume showing up here, but look at how weak the momentum is. I mean, if you come down and start to turn up here, this is perfect. If you come down and roll over one more time here, this is the point where you just want to leave. And again, here's the same sort of situation, momentum waning, start to turn up, try to make out, we don't, and all of a sudden make a breakout, we don't, and we roll back over. This is the real kind of critical spot on the chart. So everything is lined up very, very tightly on all of these charts. So a little bit of a concern for me. Here's Wells Fargo failing at the 200-day. Let's go to Citigroup. Same thing, trying to get through this 200. Briefly shot up above and is trying to hold this level with declining momentum. So watch closely here. If this takes off to the upside, great. If this fails to hold, this is one of those inflection points that we really want to pay attention to. I'll just show you some of the Canadian charts. They were a little bit stronger trying to get through their 200-day, but look at what's going on here. Stuck right at the 78, 79 resistance level. Having trouble holding it, and they're giving it back today. TD is one of the bigger banks in New York in terms of physical presence, and this one is making lower highs as we head into the Fed meeting. So I think you'll agree that the setup here is very risky, just with all of this topping structure, and now we're up here on the right-hand side. And again, going to a weekly chart on all of these, the momentum rolling over right at zero would be critical. So try not to lose perspective here. Don't get caught up in the hype. Yes, the market has rallied a long way, and a lot of people feel like it could go a lot more. My perspective is we're right at where we would have expected the market to. If it was going to fail, it's going to be right here where the momentum is near zero. Okay, let's go into the consumer cyclical. So this is the whole sector. And I just went and grabbed the group. And what you see here is a whole bunch of stocks. Now there's almost 500 stocks in this list. I think 400 because I set the minimum price at $5. But what you see here is quite a few stocks have a scooter ranking up in the 90s. And then all of a sudden we really start to tail off quickly. So I think it's important just to go look at these charts and see what's going on. This is just intraday over here on the right-hand side. And they're starting to get a little weaker. Let's just do a 1-week version of that. So some of these are starting to move. This Glue Mobile is a nice looking chart. Anyway, let's quickly just flip through them. I've already sorted them here, so we'll just go 10 per page. So Chipotle Mexican Grill, look at this nice 3-year base breakout, just started to get rolling. If this stock could run for a long period of time. Again, uptrend, hard to kind of buy it in the middle here, but I think if it just doesn't hold this 600, you'd let it go. Garmin broke out nicely, is flagging right now. What we mean by flagging, you got a flagpole just sitting here holding, then all of a sudden it'll break one way or the other. Well, if it breaks to the upside, you want in. If that doesn't hold, you want out. K12, This stock clearly broke out last October, but it's doing the same thing. Here's your flagpole, here's your flag, here's your flagpole, here's your flag. Momentum's really high here, so I'd probably wait and hold off on this one. Mercado Libre announced a deal with PayPal a couple weeks ago, so we're just seeing how this flag works. Again, here's a new 18-month high. After consolidating, it's an all-time high, but my point would be it's breaking above its range here and just flagging, so watch it closely. AutoZone, this chart's been on fire, really a nice push here, again getting through, let's say back in February 1st, kind of getting back through this $800 level. Flowers.com, you can see this one is pushing up, same idea. So a lot of these flag patterns that we see, momentum's pretty high here, so I'd probably have to wait a little bit to try and find this one. I do not know what this company does, hotels or something. So anyway, it's starting to build a base and turn up here. Momentum right at zero. Wayfair, Etsy, these are the kind of stocks that are really moving. Again, big flagpole and got the flag out to the side here. If it can hold 150, I think you want to stay in it. If it can't hold, I probably wouldn't let it get much below the flagpole here, just because of the overall market. Etsy, again, this stock just keeps climbing. Very nice trend. Look at that volume. That was beautiful. But we still have a bit of declining momentum here, so I'd be cautious on entering these. But I still think these are the charts, again, just using the scooter ranking to help us figure out what's strong and try to stay with those stocks. These are not the stocks that I would short. If the market was going to roll over, try and find something that's weak and going to get weaker. This Glue Mobile looks like it's breaking out here. You've got Google announcing their new Stadia. They call it Netflix for gaming. So if you're going to see that kind of thing, maybe some of these stocks can start to respond. Here's Carvana. This chart's been pushing up higher. Momentum just going above zero here. So, well, it feels a little bit extended from a momentum perspective. It's just getting going, and it could do one of these nice big runs. Planet Fitness, this is just a beautiful chart and just broke through 2 weeks ago through the previous spring highs. So that still looks fine. TAL Education, I've been flagging this one since January. Anyway, pushing up in a tight range here. You want to see it keep holding. If this starts to fail near this zero level, that would be a problem. Chegg, this one's pushing up higher. It looks to me like it's trying to roll over, but look at this scale compression over here. That is fabulous momentum. Yum China, this stock's been on a big run here. It doesn't look ready to stop. Here's Ultra Beauty. This one got a kick recently from Jenner, and I think it was something to do with new makeup line or something. Anyway, pushing to serious new highs here. So you got the flag, but a big breakout above the 2-year highs. If it doesn't hold, you just want to let it go. But you've got a great level to shoot against, call it 325. Abercrombie and Fitch, this is like the 5-year base I mentioned, and hopefully this is a head and shoulders. And, we consolidate over here and then we start to break out, and this might be the one to own for 2019. Heading into the retail season in the fall. C-Trip, again, nice flag pattern, holding tight. So watch it closely. This is a really nice, I'll call it renewal of trend to the upside. You still got down sloping tops here, so we need this to flag and then take off to the upside. Starbucks, I really like this chart. If you were looking for a defensive trade, I think this one fits all the goods. As long as this uptrend holds here, you're in good stead. I would just use that as a guide. Wabco Holdings, auto parts, again, flag. Lots of these flag patterns. Foot Locker, highly correlated with Nike. And here we see the $60 level. Pretty important that this holds. If it starts to break down, just let somebody else own it. Sleep Number, look at this beautiful 3 or 4 year breakout heading to the upside. So that really looks good, actually. And as long as this uptrend just keeps holding, and maybe you get a pullback. If you got a pullback, you probably want to add to a position if it can hold 40 bucks. Zynga, more gaming, starting to break out from a 2-year topping or 2-year ceiling. So when we talk about support and resistance, now what happens is as we break through these levels, we expect a pullback and then a takeoff again. Service Master just gently winding higher. Rent-A-Center, this one was consolidating sideways. Don't know what happened there, but all of a sudden the chart took off. I'm not sure I'd add to it with that kind of candle structure on the end. Maybe give it a chance to pull back. Live Nation, same thing, breaking above prior highs. Pull back to 55 would be a nice entry. Auto Home, this one's trying to get through. If it's unable, that's a problem. Here's an IPO stock. A high rally, another rally. Now, if this rolls over right here, this is exactly what you'd want to avoid, is a lot lower momentum on the second high, and then it starts to roll over. So be very careful there. Gildan Activewear, this is a 4-year base. They're the t-shirt company. Trying to push to the upside, probably a pretty defensive stock. What's the dividend? 1.3. Decker's Outdoor, beautiful uptrend here. Lots of kind of choppy consolidation. So I don't get the feeling this one's got a lot of momentum left, but things to watch. Career Education, this one looks like, to me, it's making a lower high, so I'd be a little more concerned. Liquidity, look at this one, nice base here. A breakthrough $8. Broadline retailers, I don't know what liquidity is. Maybe perhaps it's wholesaling or gets rid of unwanted surplus inventory. TriNet Business Training, this one's trying to break through. Lots of these flag patterns, as I mentioned. iRobot, this one's just breaking through. So that would be, that would be nice to see. Again, a really strong stock. It's been quite powerful. And we got the sideways price action. If it doesn't hold the breakout level of this 118 or 115, probably want to let it go. Let somebody else own it for a while. Columbia Sportswear, this one flag pattern pulling back gently, trying to hold this 95 level. I think as long as that holds, you want to own it. Making a bit of a lower high in momentum, so that's cautionary. Lindblad Expeditions, same thing. This looks like a failed breakout. Titan Machinery. Anyway, the point I wanted to make was that a lot of these stocks are trying to get through some big major bases, and perhaps there's an opportunity for us to start picking them up. Here's Denny's just gently working higher. Doesn't look like a fast enough mover for me. Wingstop, starting to see this consolidation and trying to break out. And again, if the overall economy is going to pull back, this one might be one of those stocks that people will still keep going to. Again, watch the banks. If they roll over right here and the transports keep weakening, I think our major top is in, and we're looking for a lot lower summer. That's kind of my major position. Thanks for taking the time to join me on MarketBuzz. MarketBuzz airs live on Wednesdays and Fridays at 10:30 a.m. Eastern, 7:30 Pacific on StockCharts TV. You can also catch replays on the StockCharts YouTube channel or on StockCharts TV, which has a running list of technical charting informational shows. Thank you.